for standing up for what you believe in, for fighting for justice, and for giving hope to the dedicated Americans I represent who serve our nation every day in the federal government. Thank you. Now, we're here today not just as a union member, federal employees, all veterans. We're here as defenders of democracy and freedom, champions of justice, protectors of the American way of life. Today, brothers and sisters, our nation is at a crossroad. Oligarchy is on the rise in America. Do I need to tell you that? All the world billionaires and corporate elites like Elon Musk and Donald Trump are systematically attacking our democracy, our rights, and our freedom. Now, there ain't isn't national security or efficiency. That's just the cover story. The real goal is raw power. But what they forgot is that we are the ones that have the power. And he said we got the power. Now, I want you to believe that after having been around for over 9 decades, through wars and terrorist attacks and pandemics, our union is suddenly a threat to national security. Give me a break. Use government power to silence their voice. And it's not just FT they're trying to silence. They're trying to silence universities, law firms, student protesters, immigrants, business and community leaders, union members, and more. But they have a simple chilling message for anyone who want to speak out. And let me tell you what that message is. Get in line or else. You know, America was faced with a situation just like this in 1776. This is a direct quote from the Declaration of Independence outlining why the American colonies were declared independence from King George III. And I quote, for cutting off trades with all parts of the world, for imposing tax on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefit of trial by jury, for transporting of the young seeds to be tried for unpretended offenses. Brothers and sisters, does that sound familiar to anyone here today? Now, this fight isn't just about federal workers. It's not just about unions. It's about the principles that our nation was founded upon, and FTE is here standing on principle. Trip and steal from seniors who work hard all of their life, will we? We won't let them sip rights and benefits from veterans who serve our country with honor, will we? We won't let them go agents that protect us from pollution and disease, will we? We won't let them abolish agents that keep workers. Shut up! We're fighting in courtrooms, we're fighting in Congress, and in the media, and we're in the streets. We're at it. We're united. And we all together say together, we will stop this oligarch from taking root. To every American hearing my voice today, this is not a partisan issue. This is a question of justice and democracy. It's a choice. Will you stand with the working people to keep America running? Or will you stand with Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and those big and I don't know where I stand. AFTE stand with the American people. AFTE stand with veterans. With the workers who keep our nation strong. We know this is a marathon. We know the war will be long. But guess what? We are strong. We are united. We are ready to win. Are you ready? There may be some dark moments. We've seen some already. But I know scripture that says that we've been made endure for a night. But joy comes in the morning. All I'm trying to say is this. Morning is coming. Joy is coming, brothers and sisters. Hope is coming. Love is coming. Change is coming. We are coming. We are coming. And we have the power. We have the power. Will you stand with us? Will you fight with us? We have the power. We, the people, that in power. And we, say we. Say we. We have the power. We, the people, have the power. We coming for you. Thank you. And God bless you.
Please welcome to the stage Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
because we share in the frustration and the heartache that comes from watching those in power actively tear down or refuse to fight for everyday working Americans like us. We are here together because an extreme concentration of power, greed, and corruption is taking over our country like never before. Oligarchy. We must acknowledge forthright the terrifying moment that we are in right now. That what we are hearing and seeing with our own eyes is, in fact, happening. We are watching as our neighbors, students, and friends are being fired, targeted, and disappeared. It is real. People we love are being targeted and harassed just for being LGBTQ. Our co-workers, U.S. citizens and immigrants alike, are being disappeared off the street by men in vans with no uniform. Educators are being fired for teaching American history accurately. Activists are being detained with no charge or evidence for using their First Amendment rights, especially if they are using those First Amendment rights to speak up for Palestinians and to end the war in Gaza. In fact, the Trump administration admits that it has jailed a young father and husband, Mahmoud Khalil, without any evidence or charge of a crime. They admit that they've thrown Mahmoud in a cell thousands of miles away from his family because he attended a protest and they did not like the content of his speech. Be very clear, Folsom. Donald Trump's detention of Mahmoud Khalil for his speech is anti-American, and we demand his release, along with the release of Rumeisa Ozturk, who he is also jailing for writing an op-ed in her school paper. And we also demand the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia in El Salvador. We tell President Bukele, if we believe in democracy, he must be returned. It is criminal that he is being held abroad. And we demand these things because we do have power in this moment. All of us do. Everyday people do. And it will never, ever just be institutions or politicians and officials alone that uphold our democracy. It will always be the people, the masses, who refuse to comply with authoritarian regimes, who are the last and strongest defense of our country and our freedoms. You, Folsom, you. We know that a better world is possible, and we are willing to do something about it. But to get there, we need to be honest about how we got to where we are right now. Because this moment did not come out of nowhere, Folsom. It has been a long time coming. The destruction of our rights and our democracy is directly tied to the growing and extreme wealth inequality that has been building in America for years. It is not a coincidence that billionaires like Elon Musk have dumped billions into this election to support Donald Trump. he sure is as hell is not doing it for charity. For years, we have known that our political system has slowly but surely become dominated by big money and billionaires. And time after time, we have seen how our government and laws are more responsive to corporations and lobbyists than everyday people and voters. And we also know that the agenda of dark money to keep our wages low and to loot our public goods like Social Security and Medicare to give to the rich, we know that this is deeply unpopular with the American people, Republican, Independent, and Democrat alike. But just look at what Republicans in Congress have been quietly doing. They have been voting to advance cuts on hundreds of billions of dollars from Medicaid and veterans benefits so that they can take that money and give it to their donor class. All in the form of paying for tax cuts for the rich and sweetheart government contracts for their companies like SpaceX. And Folsom, you know who voted for that, by the way? The man who represents you right here in Congress, Kevin Kiley. But you know how many people are here in Folsom today? 26,000 of you have gathered to tell Kevin Kiley, hell no! Hands up our Medicare! Hands up our Medicaid! Hands up our Social Security! Kevin Kiley knows that this is not what you want. He knows that it is deeply unpopular. He knows that it hurts the people of Folsom. But he is not there to serve working families. He is there to serve himself and the billionaire class that put him there. But he knows that the only chance he has to get away with such unpopular and destructive decisions is to stoke deep divisions along race, identity, and culture to keep all of us fighting and distracted. This has been the big money playbook, not just now, but for decades. And we are not going to fall for it anymore. But Folsom, this is why Donald Trump is not an aberration. He is the logical, inevitable conclusion of an American political system dominated by corporate and dark money. And if we are to defeat him, we must defeat the system that created him. Money in politics is the hand of oligarchy. America, we are at a crossroads. We can either have extreme wealth inequality with the toxic division and corruption that it requires to survive, or we can have a fair economy for working people along with the democracy and freedoms that uphold it. Oligarchy or democracy, but we cannot have both. I grew up in a working class family. My mom cleaned houses, and my dad worked on a small business. And my parents worked themselves to the bone so that my brother and I could just have a shot. The American dream. And for a moment there, it looked like we were going to make it. We had a home, bills were getting a little less stressful to pay, and I was doing well in public school. And what may have looked like a modest life to others was a dream come true for us. But suddenly, when I was a teenager, my dad was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. And after a long fight, we lost him. My dad actually passed away in September of 2008, just as the economy crashed in the Great Recession and millions of jobs across the country vanished. It felt like the little world of our family fell apart, just as the larger world was falling apart too. And overnight, my mom was left alone to figure out how to provide and put 2 kids through school, keep our house, pay off our medical bills, all on a house cleaner's salary. And that is how I became a waitress, to help pay the bills. Because at that time, just as it is now, it was millions of working families who paid the price, while billionaires and thieves who defrauded our financial system got off richer than ever before. And not a single one of them went to jail. And now that is the story that Republicans mock. Not mine, but all of ours, when they say that a waitress or a working person is unqualified to serve in Congress. But the fact is, Folsom, many of us are far more qualified to know what real life is really like than any of them ever will. And I tell this story not because it is special, but because of how common and normal it is, and how normal this barbarism is of how so many people are allowed to live today. And while the details may differ, so many of us knows what it feels like for life to be one bad day, one bad piece of news, or one major setback from feeling like it's all going to fall apart. We don't have to live like this anymore, Folsom. We can make a new world, Folsom, a better country where we fight for the dignity of all people. And it looks like living wages, California. It looks like stable housing. It looks like guaranteed health care and respect for all our differences, no matter who we are or where we come from. Oligarchy or democracy. And we are here today because we choose democracy. We choose freedom. And that means we must choose to out-organize the oligarchy. We must do away with the power of big money. And that is why, even as a waitress with the Long Shot campaign, I decided I would never take money from lobbyists or corporations, and it's why I never will. When I first got to Congress, I was genuinely shocked by how the place worked, even having run against dark money in the first place. The everyday influence of corruption and dark money was astonishing. We have somehow conditioned ourselves in Congress to believe that it's normal for elected representatives who swear an oath to the American people to day trade individual stock and make millions with the sensitive information that we are entrusted with for the purpose of governing. How can anyone possibly make an objective vote on health care, energy, or war when their personal money is tied up in pharmaceutical companies, oil and gas companies, or defense company stocks? You can't. And we saw this play out this week with Trump's corrupt and disastrous tariff scheme. We can see now that his tariff shuffle didn't have anything to do with manufacturing like they claimed. I hope we recognize now that it was all about manipulating the markets so that he could quietly enrich his friends who bought the dip before reversing it all in the morning. Folsom, what I'm about to say is a matter of fact. Donald Trump is a criminal. He was found guilty of 34 felony felony counts of fraud, liable for sexual abuse. Of course he is lying and manipulating the stock market too. And if Donald Trump wants to find the rapists and criminals in this country, he needs to look in a mirror today. And to be clear, I don't care what party you are, Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter how powerful one is or what position they hold. Members of Congress holding and trading individual stock is wrong. It is corrosive, it is destructive, and it needs to be banned. You know, just earlier this year, I was named to the Energy and Commerce Committee in the House of Representatives. And this is one of the most powerful committees in all of Congress. It oversees 2/3 of the American economy: healthcare, manufacturing, trade, energy, communications, you name it. And for years, lobbyists fought to keep me off of this committee because they don't like what they don't control. And an interesting thing happened on the day that it was announced that I would be assigned to the committee. Our phones rang off the hook, and my office's inboxes were flooded by every corporate lobbyist under the sun. All of a sudden, they wanted to be best friends. But you know what, Folsom? Because of your support, because of gatherings like here today, because you allow me to not take a dime in corporate money, you free me to say no. You free me to fight for Medicare for all people. You free me to fight for a renewable energy economy. But not everyone is so lucky. I've seen firsthand how these groups bully and pressure members of Congress. They threaten to take their money away or to spend it against them if they don't do what they want. And what they want is for our lives to be as expensive as possible on the lowest possible wage. What they want is for as many people to be exploited in America as possible. And it trickles down to how life feels for working people today. So I want us to understand that this constant pressure that we feel in our lives, of the water rising up to our throats, the impossibility to afford anything easily, the fear of speaking up or being who we are in public, the bitter divisions driven more by online algorithms than the truth, the crumbling of our rights and protections. Understand that this, right now, is what it feels like to be governed by billionaires. Not someday, but right now. And the first step is to open our eyes to that. Because of course, it is a system that depends on division to enable its inequality that will favor a president who is the best at dividing us and the most skilled at corruption. And it will also reward the Republicans in Congress who support that agenda no matter what crimes are committed, including crimes from the White House. Big money is how we got Donald Trump. His whole presidency began with launching tools for bribery, meme coins, and cryptocurrencies to fleece normal people and move money in the dark, extortion settlements from media companies and law firms who gladly pay the price. And he even removed duly elected officials, including Republican ones, from the chamber of the inauguration to make room for who he really wants in charge, the unelected billionaires who were standing behind him. They have one central economic mission: to make billionaires richer at the expense of all of us. So it does not surprise us that their first economic mission has been to smear and target Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, to fire our federal workers, and to abandon our veterans for hundreds of billions of dollars in cuts so that they can hand that money off to their donors. And the things that they say are crazy. Crazy. Medicaid is one of the most efficient and effective public systems, lowest in fraud that we have in the United States. Just yesterday I saw on television, on Fox News, you had this woman, Jeanine Pirro. Crazy thing about Jeanine Pirro is that she's from Westchester County, where I went to public school, and it's like, wow, how things have evolved there. Anyways, so Jeanine Pirro goes on television. She says, as though this is fraud, she says that they found so many babies and 2-year-olds and 4-year-olds who were receiving Social Security. I've got a notice for you, Jeanine Pirro. Those babies get Social Security because their parents died. That's not a waste. That's humanity. That's America. That's the country that we fight for. Those are the promises we make to one another. That is what it means to be in a civilized society. It's not waste. It is the best of us. Folsom, I know that it at times can look impossible out here for the Republicans to be defeated. But that is not true. It is simply not true. From the waitress who is now speaking to you today, I can tell you impossible is nothing. Miracles start with mustard seeds, and that is what each and every one of you represent today. Small miracles of faith in ourselves, in each other, and in the refusal to give up. So Folsom, we are here for the long haul, for the school boards and the community associations, for small business groups and town councils, for public art and gestures of inclusion. And we will build from there, because Kevin Kiley will not be a congressman for much longer if you've got anything to do with it. And by the way, as they try to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, we just need to peel off 3 Republican congressmen in the entire country. And I got a feeling that you might do it right here in Folsom. And if you do it, Folsom, then the people here today will have saved Medicaid for the entire United States of America. We stand with you, we are here with you, and we will support you. Beyond elections, our task is also to build community. Block associations, volunteer groups, advocacy organizations, PTAs, church and faith groups, because community is the most powerful building block we have to defeat authoritarianism and root out corruption. This is the path to guaranteeing health care to every American, to establishing a living minimum wage, to take on skyrocketing rents and mortgages, to tackle the climate crisis and establish a country where the American dream is actually possible for all of us. So I will end where I began. We may all come from different places, but we share so many of the same experiences. So to all those who came here today unsure of whether or not this is where you belong, I want to say affirmatively that you do. No matter if you have all the right words to say, no matter your race, religion, gender identity, or status. You know, if you even voted for Donald Trump in the past and are open to changing your mind, come on in. If you are willing to fight for someone you don't know, you are welcome here. If you are willing to fight for working people regardless of who they are, how they identify, or where they come from, you are welcome here. Because here, everyone is valued. But we have to stand together. We cannot be tempted to turn in our neighbors or be fooled into thinking that we're really that much different than the trans kid who wants to get accepted at school. We can't fall for the ruse that we're that different than the dreamer who wants to provide for their family and fulfill our country's promise. It is standing together without exception to reject division. That is the only way that we can win. So I hope that you see this movement is not about partisan labels or purity tests, but it is about class solidarity. The thousands of you who came out here today to stand together and say our lives deserve dignity and our work deserves respect. We are here to make a sacred promise to one another. And our goal is to commit to building the kind of country that we all deserve. And we will make that promise, to take care of each other on our worst days and to share in the successes of our best. Thank you, Folsom. Thank you for having me. And with that, it is my honor to introduce someone who has spent his life bringing us together. Everyone, please welcome Senator Bernie Sanders.
Folsom, thank you. You know, Alexandria and I a few days ago were in LA. LA is a city of some 4 million people, and we had some 36,000 people out, a great turnout. Folsom is a city of 85,000, and we have almost as many people here as we had in LA. I'm told we have close to 30,000 people here. Unbelievable. Let me thank Folsom Lake College, Aisha Shaw, Dog Patch, the Philharmonic, Jane Kim, Lorena Gonzalez, and Everett Kelly. And let me thank Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for not only being a great member of Congress, but for being an inspiration to millions of young people throughout this country. We are here this evening to say very loudly and clearly to Mr. Trump and people all over this country, we as Americans will not accept oligarchy. We will not accept authoritarianism, and we will not accept a rigged economy where working people struggle while billionaires become richer. We will not accept a situation where, if you can believe it, one man, Elon Musk, you've heard of Elon. Elon owns more wealth than the bottom 50% of households in America. That, brothers and sisters, is insane. We have got to, together, create an economy that works for working people, not just Mr. Musk and the billionaire class. And to make a bad situation even worse, at a time of unprecedented income and wealth inequality, never had more inequality ever in America than we have today, Mr. Musk and the Republicans in Congress are working on a reconciliation bill. And this is legislation that would give $1.1 trillion in tax breaks to the top 1%, and they pay for that by cutting Medicaid by $880 billion, cutting nutrition programs for hungry kids, and cutting affordable housing. Now, you've got a congressman here whose name is Kevin Kiley. So I don't know if Mr. Kiley is watching the live stream or not. But, Mr. Kiley, I think some of your constituents have a message for you. Don't vote to give tax breaks to billionaires and cut programs that the working class of this country desperately needs. And by the way, Mr. Kiley, I have a feeling that some of your constituents would love to sit down and chat with you on that issue. Now, Alexandria comes from New York City. I come from Vermont. We've come a long way here. The least you could do is sit down with your constituents right here. You know, as I observe what's going on in D.C., I think a little bit about American history. And I think about Abraham Lincoln at Gettysburg in 1863. And I think you all know this. Lincoln was there a few days after that horrific battle where 20,000 Union soldiers were killed or wounded in the fight to end the nightmare of slavery. And Lincoln looked out on the field just a few days after that carnage, and he said, you know what? Our vision of America is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And that's why Alexandria and I are here this evening. We believe in a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, not a government of the billionaires, by the billionaires, and for the billionaires. And when we talk about oligarchy, it's not just the incredible economic power that the billionaires have, which is unprecedented. And it's not just about the massive income and wealth inequality, which is also unprecedented. Today in America, as a result of that disastrous Supreme Court decision on Citizens United, billionaires like Musk can put unlimited amounts of money into both political parties. So Mr. Musk himself put $270 million to elect Donald Trump as president. And that, for Musk, was a pretty good investment. Not a lot of money when you're worth $400 billion. So it's a modest investment. And his reward was to become the most powerful person in the United States government. But I must tell you, it is not only Musk and the Republicans who are putting huge amounts of money to make sure they elect the candidates of their choice. It is Democrats as well. And there is a reason why Democrats for so many years have not had the courage to stand up to the ruling class and represent working people, and that is because that party is dominated by corporate interests. So today we say loudly and clearly, and I think in saying this I speak for conservatives and progressives and moderates. The time is now to get rid of this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision and move to public funding of elections. But brothers and sisters, it is not just oligarchy that we are fighting. We are fighting a president who undermines our Constitution every single day and threatens our freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. We are fighting a president whose agents are rounding up innocent people off the streets, throwing them into unmarked vans, and sending them to detention centers here in the United States, in El Salvador and elsewhere. That is not what happens in a democracy. That's what happens in a dictatorship. And together, we are not going to allow Donald Trump to create an authoritarian society. You know, the founding fathers of our country were not dummies. They had just fought a war against the British Empire and defeated the most powerful person on earth at that time, the King of England. And they sat around and they said, you know what? As we develop our new country, this is in the 1790s, what they were saying is we do not want to give one person unlimited power. And they developed a separation of powers. We got an executive, a legislative branch, and a judiciary to keep check on each other. And every single day, you got a president who wants more Congress. investigating NPR, PBS. Since our job is not just right now to defeat the very dangerous situation inherent in Trumpism. We've got to fight them every single day. But we have got to do more than that. We have got to create a vision of what a new America is about, where we have a government and an economy that works for all of us, not just a few. This is the wealthiest country in the history of the world. We should not have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. 0 through 4 are the most important years of human development. We should have the best child care system in the world, not a dysfunctional system. No teacher in America should start off at less than $60,000 a year. Unlike Trump, we understand the importance of education. Learning and growing intellectually is part of what being human is about. And in a competitive global learning and growing intellectually is part of what being human is about. And in a competitive global economy, we need the best educated workforce in the world. We need more doctors, we need more nurses, we need more dentists, we need more electricians, plumbers, sheet metal workers. Young people should not have to go deeply in debt to get the education they need. You know, back in 1944, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, one of the great presidents in our history, he said something that was enormously profound. It kind of got passed over because we were in the middle of World War II. But what he said at that point is that, look, we have a great Constitution, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, etc., but we're lacking something. And what we're lacking is the understanding that economic rights are human rights. Now, the establishment doesn't want us to understand what that means. But what it means is that living in this country, the richest country on earth, a country where today we're seeing an explosion of technology, which is going to make us even wealthier. What we want is that technology to work for working people. That's the onus of corporations. than he or she did back then. You got that? All in worker productivity. They didn't have there. So much and that is why we're going to pass what's called the PRO Act to make sure that every worker in America will be able to join a union. You may or may not know that in America today, we remain the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. We have a health care system which is broken, which is dysfunctional, which is cruel. As a nation, we are spending almost twice as much. We spend over $14,000 for every man, woman, and child for health care. $14,000. And yet, despite spending so much, 85 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured. 60,000 Americans die each year because they cannot afford to go to a doctor when they should. I have talked to doctors in Vermont and all over this country who treat patients who walk in the door and they say, "Why didn't you come in here when you first felt your symptoms?" And the patient said, "I'm uninsured, or my deductible is too high. I just didn't have the money." That is outrageous. It is unacceptable. We must pass Medicare for all. And guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child. And when we talk about what oligarchy is about, and when we talk about what corporate greed is about, I want you to hear one fact that you won't see in the corporate media or hear in the halls of Congress. Right now, as a nation, our life expectancy, how long we live, is about 4 years less than other major countries. That's pretty bad. Do you know what's even worse? If you are working class in America, on average, you will live 7 years shorter lives than if you are wealthy. And you know why that is? Why is that? You got it. Everybody knows. The word is stress. I grew up in a working class family. And I've been all over this country talking to working class people. Do you know what it's like to wake up in the morning and wonder about whether you're going to be able to feed your kids or not? You know what it's like to know that when you get sick or your mother is ill, you may not have the money to get the medical care you need? You know what it's like that when your car breaks down, you don't have the $1,000 you need to repair it? You can't get to work? All over this country, people are struggling every single day just to survive. Brothers and sisters, in the richest country in the history of the world, we can do a hell of a lot better than that. Thank you. But in truth, it is not Bernie. It is you. And that's not rhetoric. If we are going to defeat Trumpism, if we're going to create the kind of nation that we know we can become, it's going to take millions and millions of working people standing up together, educating, organizing, knocking on doors, forming unions. We can do it. Now, what the ruling class of this country does, and they do it brilliantly, I must confess, what they do is essentially tell you, you are powerless. Ain't nothing you can do, because we, the oligarchs, we got all the money, we got all the power, we own the media, we own the Congress. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Well, we are here this evening to tell them, hey guys, you got it wrong. Because when we stand together and not let Trump and his friends divide us up by the color of our skin, or where we were born, or our sexual orientation, or our religion, when we stand together, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. So in this pivotal moment in American history, what I have discovered, as Alexandria and I go all over this country, we are seeing unbelievable turnouts. We were in Idaho. We had 12,000 people coming out in Idaho, most conservative state in the country. We had 20,000 people in Salt Lake City, a Republican state. And I think what the American people, Republicans, Independents, Democrats are saying, sorry, Mr. Trump, we don't want your oligarchy. Sorry, Mr. Trump, too many men and women have fought and died to defend democracy. You're not going to take us into authoritarianism. And sorry, Mr. Musk, we're going to create an economy that works for us, not just for you. So, brothers and sisters, I recognize that the oligarchs have enormous power. They have unlimited amounts of money, and they are extraordinarily greedy. They want it all. But the last that I have heard, I'm not a mathematician, but I do know that 99% is a hell of a lot bigger number than 1%. So let us stand together. Let us defeat Trumpism. Let us create the kind of America we know we can become. Thank you very much.